So in this section, I'm going to talk about higher order derivatives. I think the most helpful thing is for me just to make a table that shows you all of the ways that we are going to write derivatives and higher order derivatives. So far the things that we've seen have been what we call first derivatives, meaning we only take the derivative once. So that one you usually see written as f prime of x or y prime of x. Another way that we write it that we haven't done as much yet, but we're certainly going to be doing a lot more of, is dy dx. Those are the three main ways that we write that. Now, if you take the derivative of your first derivative, that's called our second derivative. And that one we write with two little tick marks. And so we call that f double prime. And then we also have a y double prime. With the dy dx, this one tends to mess people up a little bit. I don't have a great explanation for why they do it this way, but the d is going to have a squared, and then we're going to have a y. It's going to be over dx, and then it's going to have a 2 after the x. So that one's a little weird. The only reason I can think of to do that is that they do that with the squared, with the d on top and the d and the x on the bottom, is because sometimes you're going to have like this, and then you'll have a function in there. So it should be squared down on the bottom. But that's just one random thing. Don't let it bother you too much. Just know that when you see that, that's the second derivative. So third derivative is pretty similar to the way the second derivative is, except that we write this as f triple prime and y triple prime, and we're going to put a 3 here instead of a 2. Now, for the fourth derivative, the notation changes just a little bit. So you might realize that if we were to keep writing little tick marks next to our f, keep writing these little prime things, there would be a lot of them. So by the time we get to the fourth derivative, we get a little bit smarter, and we just write this as f4 of x. So we don't usually say, we don't say f quadruple prime or anything like that. We just say fourth derivative. You don't get to the fourth derivative very often, but you should probably know this notation. And just be aware that it's not to the fourth power, even though it looks like it's to the fourth power. It's just going to be fourth derivative. The dy dx one does end up staying the same, however. All right, so just the general one, which I'll call the nth derivative, is going to look really similar to the fourth derivative. So this is our notation for that. So we'll do a few examples. My first example, we want to find f triple prime if f of x equals x to the fourth plus 6x. First thing we're going to do is find f prime. That's going to give us 4x to the third plus 6. Once you have the derivative, to find the second derivative, you're basically just going to be taking the derivative of the derivative. So f double prime is going to be 12x squared. The 6 is actually going to become 0, so it's going to go away. And then my f triple prime is just going to be 24x. So for number 2, we're going to find y double prime if y equals e to the x. This one, you might be able to guess what's going to happen. So y prime, my derivative of e to the x, is equal to e to the x. Y double prime is the derivative of e to the x, which is e to the x. Actually, for this one, you can just keep going and going and going, and all of your many derivatives will be e to the x.